Hello, everyone. Today we are joined by Robert Roecklein, a professional engineer and founder of Roeck Engineering and Supply. Robert brings over 25 years of experience in manufacturing, design, and supply chain with a reputation for tackling tough challenges and delivering innovative solutions. His company is known for creating durable, cost effective products like Lifetime Tube and for helping manufacturers solve complex engineering problems. We are excited to learn from Robert's journey and hear his perspective on the future of manufacturing and supply. Welcome, Robert.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's great to have you and very much excited to dive into more details of rock engineering
Yeah,
and
let's do it.
understand what you do and understand what manufacturing is for you and all that stuff. So, could you just take us back to the moment when you decided to start Rock Engineering and Supply? What was the spark?
Sure. Yeah, good question. Well, I always kind of knew that I wanted to start my own engineering firm. I didn't really know what that necessarily looked like early on in my career, but I knew at some point I always wanted to run my own company, kind of like a bucket list item. And what the spark really was, maybe a slow burning spark, but I eventually decided to just kind of jump in, is I always notice that startups, inventors, and just people in general who have good ideas never really had the support or access to all of the back end the back end side of introducing a product to the market. There's plenty of marketing solutions out there and sales, and with Amazon, it could be made pretty easily, and plenty of places that you can make a website. But to the common person, there really wasn't too much out there in terms of being easily able to work with a company to get all the back end aspects ready to go in terms of the design, engineering, and manufacturing and supply chain, obviously, that goes with that. So I was hearing all these people, families, friends, coworkers, small startups have these great ideas, but not really know what to do with it. And so I just decided to start a company that was kind of dedicated to filling that void and providing those type of solutions to people who are looking for it.
Okay, that's interesting. But you have a interesting blend of manufacturing and supply. How did you combine both the things in your business?
Sure. Well, it wasn't necessarily intentional, but I'm glad it happened that way. When I was working at a pump manufacturing company down here in Deerfield Beach, Florida, United States, a variety of opportunities came up where the company was looking to create a better blend and a better relationship between our engineering department, our purchasing department, our inventory department, and our suppliers. Purchasing departments don't necessarily have technical engineering knowledge, and engineering departments don't necessarily have the knowledge of what machines suppliers have and how to communicate those requests for quotes, RFQs, to those suppliers, to those vendors. So like I said, a variety of opportunities came up where I was originally working at an engineer there and kind of transitioned over to a role where I was helping be the liaison between various departments and translate technical information to kind of better the company and make versus buy decisions, because we had a large machine shop and fabrication shop, but it didn't mean that we always wanted to fabricate or machine everything. Sometimes we wanted to outsource, sometimes we wanted to insource. So those decisions from an industrial engineering standpoint, from a mechanical engineering standpoint, those decisions need to be made by somebody. And I kind of jumped into that role eventually. I climbed my way up the ladder a little bit to be in more of a managerial and director role and oversee all those departments in a way. But that's kind of how I started getting involved in purchasing and supply chain management. I got involved with Next Level Purchasing, which is a US based kind of certification company. And that's where my CPOM comes in, that's Certified Procurement Operations Manager. And yeah, that's kind of how the blend of my skills came to be. Like I said, it wasn't intentional, but I've enjoyed it now because not only do I get to experience the technical side, but I get to experience the people side too, where you're interacting with suppliers, you're interacting with engineering departments. I'm still looking at drawings and designing things, and also, performing negotiations. So it's a nice blend that I kind of created my company out of.
Great, great. So, someone hearing for the first time about Rock Engineering, can you just tell us what exactly you do in Rock Engineering? What are your services? Who are your clients?
Sure. So long story short, I would say we provide design, engineering, and manufacturing solutions for startups. We also provide all of those service, mostly manufacturing for corporate clients as well. But I would say for most people who are looking to understand my business, it would be design, engineering, and manufacturing solutions for startups and small companies that are looking to bring their product to market. As far as the type of engineering, my background is in mechanical and industrial engineering. So we primarily focus on industrial goods, consumer goods, and a little bit in the marine and aviation industries as well.
That's really interesting. As you said, you're dealing with startups right now, or a lot of variety of customers you might be having. What are the typical challenges that you face? Like, what are the challenges that customers get to you right now?
Sure. Well, I would say one of the biggest challenges right now, especially with supply chain management, would be the tariffs.
Okay.
Not even necessarily to speak on the political side of things with what's right or what's wrong or what helps or what doesn't, but it's a very volatile topic. The tariffs are always changing, and the rules could be quite nuanced. And for me, you're in India, but I'm in the United States. All these tariffs, obviously, it's on the import and the importation of the goods. And I would say 99% of my clients are in the United States. So they need to worry about those in one way or the other if they're sourcing internationally or they're looking for me to set up an international type supply chain. And yes, the tariffs often put fear into people's minds because of all of the unknowns. You can navigate them if you know what you're doing, especially if you hire experts in the industry. But I would say that's one of the biggest challenges right now, both from a logistical and a cost perspective.
That's really a big challenge that everybody is facing right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Talking about your projects and the clients that you're seeing right now, could you walk us through a standout project during your career?
Sure. Yeah, well, we talked about this earlier, actually, the lifetime tubes. I would say
Yeah,
that's a pretty good example of an ongoing project that started from the ground up. I got involved with this company on the West Coast of the United States called Portland Bee Balm. And what they do is they provide environmentally friendly beeswax based chapsticks and lip balms, obviously based on their name. And they were looking to introduce a lip balm holder, a lip balm tube that you could reload and insert new cartridges into a stainless steel tube with a mechanism. So you don't have to throw out a piece of plastic every time you use up your lip balm. So that's kind of where the idea started. They had a loose design that they came to me with. I helped them take the design across the finish line. And I think a lot of people that I've showed the design to are surprised at the intricacy of a lip balm tube, and some lipstick products have this too, because when you think about it, you're twisting the bottom knob of the tube, and there's a variety of mechanisms and gears and threaded rods on the inside that result in the product just coming straight out. It's not rotating, it's
right.
just going laterally up and down or side to side while you're actually twisting it. So, not to get into the nitty gritty of how that works right now, but there were some design challenges with that, obviously. Once that was all worked out, like I mentioned, it was a stainless steel product. So that stainless steel is inherently food safe and obviously lasts a long time, looks good for a long time. And they also needed help setting up the supply chain for all the components, the assembly, the machining. We needed a Swiss machine shop to get involved because these are pretty small, intricate parts that you're not necessarily injection molding anymore because it's not plastic, it's stainless steel. And I got that all set up for them. My company actually has recently been providing the assembly for them. And yeah, I would say that is a pretty typical project that I provided this small business in Portland a solution from start to finish, where we went from design all the way to manufacturing, and now they're handling the sales and marketing as they best see fit.
Amazing, amazing innovation and a unique thought given to a very common product that everybody uses. It's a daily product that most of the people use, but nobody would have thought that kind of innovation. So, does this also add to sustainability or reusing the thing? And are your customers facing what changes are you facing right now, like environmental aspects of the designing part?
Sure. Yeah. Good question. Well, that definitely solves some sustainability issues or reusability issues. And with the reusable lip balm tube, there's much less waste. Obviously, you're not throwing away a piece of plastic. And
Mhm.
I would say there's been an ongoing growing push for sustainability. One of the biggest things I would say is a push to use sustainable plastics, biodegradable plastics, or recycled plastics. There's a big push for that. A lot of my clients are often asking for what sustainable and environmentally friendly plastics and plastic injection molding solutions I can provide them. And they can be a little bit challenging because often when you are thinking about biodegradable or some type of plastic that is not necessarily biodegradable but compostable, there's a lot of different labels that go along with that, but they're not necessarily as robust as the typical, nylon type plastics or ABS type plastics that we're used to seeing in most of our goods. So there's always a balance there. And I like melding the plastics with metals, because metals tend to be a little bit more environmentally friendly, are naturally occurring in the earth. So if you can come up with more of a hybrid solution for a client, it is often
Right.
more environmentally friendly for them.
Yes. So sustainability is the need of the hour, I would say. It is definitely what we need to look at.
For
And
sure.
you're doing a great job by combining both the aspects, the durability, the sustainability, and of course the user friendliness of that product.
Yes.
And that is the challenge definitely from the designer point of view. You need to definitely take care all these aspects into product. So a great job that
Sure.
you're doing.
Well, thank you. And yeah, I think it goes well in line with where I've seen a big push recently, especially with the environmentally friendly aspect, is we need to provide an experience to the customer and to the end user in conjunction with the product. So it's not necessarily just a product that you unbox and you start using. If you provide that experience where there's a story behind it, it's made in a certain way, it's environmentally friendly, you can reuse it 1,000 times as opposed to throwing it in your trash can. It has this special human interface that, a special display that gives you different efficiency options or whatever the case may be. So I would say, in conjunction with the sustainability, the user experience is also a big push that's occurring right now for sure.
Yes. Coming to your operations and specifically like in continuation with the last question, do you do any surveys or how do you understand the requirements of the customers before designing the product?
Good question. What I usually schedule first is what I call a discovery session. So if there's a
Okay.
prospective client or a client that would like to use me for my services, I schedule a discovery session with them. And basically, that's where I'm basically interviewing them about their product, their needs, their requirements, what they're looking to do for their end users, what they, how they would like their manufacturing to look, how they would like their supply chain to look. And I don't necessarily have a formal survey because, well, I guess I would say I have a standard list of questions that I ask, and I have a form for that. But every client is different, especially when you're working with startups and inventors. Every client is different. Every story is different. Every product is a little different. So, based on whatever that scenario is, I'll ask a variety of questions. to understand what the client is looking for and what they're looking to introduce to the market.
Okay. Okay. And then once you have the requirements, how do you go about, like, what are the operations in your company right now? What all you do and what all you outsource, or how do you operate, right?
Sure. So at that discovery session, I usually figure out exactly what services the client is looking for. So we really advertise that we can provide all of the back end solutions, like I mentioned earlier, from the back of their napkin. And then we take the design, run with it all the way through prototyping. And then we transition to quoting, manufacturing, and setting up the logistics for the supply chain. My goal early on is to figure out what stages they're looking for me to provide, because sometimes clients want to control some of those aspects themselves. Sometimes they already have a different company that they want to use for a variety of those services, or maybe they want to use me for every step along the way. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of the first step of the process after I've established what their end goals are, is establish exactly what they want Roeck Engineering and Supply to provide for them. And then really the first step, if you were divided into, there's the supply chain and the manufacturing side, and then there's the design and engineering side. If we were to start with the design and engineering, it's really the first step is creating a design plan, establishing where we are in the design phase and how they want the prototyping aspect to look. And then on the manufacturing and the supply chain side, the first step there is really to generate the requirements that I would want to supply or provide the suppliers and or manufacturers. So that's like
Mm-hmm.
what I mentioned earlier, where we talk about an RFQ, or request for quote. It's really, a lot of people look over that aspect and that stage of a project, but it's really important to set your guidelines and set your requirements, especially if you're talking about custom products, custom machined parts, custom molded parts, custom fabricated parts. You really have to have all your ducks in a row, all your details, all your drawings, and have a really nice RFQ to be able to send that out for bidding, for quoting, and what have you. So, yeah, for that side of things, establishing a very organized RFQ would be the first stage there.
Okay. The operations, like, listening to these, the sequences, it is really overwhelming, but you seem to be doing it very streamlined and very much methodical operations. That is what you're running, it seems. That is definitely what the startup level clients are looking for, and that is going to speed up their process of getting the product to the market. So,
For sure, for sure. And I am using AI a little bit to generate those RFQs, because once you
okay,
have this big long list of data and files and requirements, you have to translate that into something that a manufacturer can actually read, look at, and use, and
right.
then turn it into numbers because they want to provide you with a quote. So AI has been useful to organize all of that chaotic information into a much more organized manner, as opposed to having
Okay.
to manually type it up. Now AI can take all that data and create it in a little bit more of an organized way and streamline that process a bit too, which has been nice.
That was certainly my next question. Like, how do you see AI and automation coming into your manufacturing or supply chain business?
Sure. Well, there's definitely a push, like I said, there with communication and speaking with suppliers and speaking with vendors. I think it
Mm-hmm.
helps streamline that process. I think it helps with communication too. I think even early on when you and I were first establishing our communication, we were using AI a little bit in our emails, I think. I mean, I'll admit that I was. And as far as the strict manufacturing goes, I mean, machine learning and just the automation aspect is really important to stay on top of right now with manufacturing. And perhaps the biggest topic I would say that AI is helpful, at least for me and where I see it going, is in quality control and quality assurance, because
Mm-hmm.
obviously machines are always more accurate and always more consistent than humans can be.
Right.
And they can, using AI to analyze thousands of data sets from items coming off the production line, and you could you could have it establish warnings or red flags or yellow flags based on if something is outside of spec or something is outside the normal distribution or whatever quality standards the department might have. AI, I have noticed, is really, and automation is really helpful in terms of integrating the machine learning into
Yes.
quality control. And that's where I see it being most useful right now.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Machines are more reliable than humans, so it avoids human errors in quality and that kind of stuff. And that
And
is going to
speed.
drive the future. Yeah, that definitely the speed and the volume of the data or the volume of the tasks that it can cover. That is definitely enhancing the abilities of humans right now and coming up in a
You know,
big
we
way.
used to have this, I did it early on in my career when you're analyzing a data set for quality control or even if it's more of a purchasing project where we're analyzing data of price trends, cost trends, logistics in terms of freight costs and stuff like that, there would be data mining
Right,
projects, and that is gone. The data mining, from my perspective, is completely gone. AI has taken over data mining completely.
right. And not only data mining, but again, just analyzing it in fraction of seconds and giving you the analytics. And
Yeah,
so, yeah, that is definitely
turning it
an
into useful information
yes, turning it into the useful information and giving you the insights out of that. That is definitely something that is driving the future right now.
for sure.
And yeah, interesting. So, coming up to yeah, like something about your personal aspirations or personal interest, what inspires you to innovate, and off the work, what inspires you to innovate?
Well, I would say one of the things that inspires me to innovate is that conversation we had a little earlier about creating that human experience
Okay.
in conjunction with the product. I like when I can interact with whatever software, hardware, product, a new sport, new electronic, whatever the case may be. I like when there's an experience that comes along with it from maybe the sustainability side, but also from the human interface side of being able
Mhm.
to interact with it. Maybe the product has a little bit of a personality or whatever the case may be. When I see something that is like, that product has been around for 50 years and it's pretty boring. Like, how do we not only improve upon it, make it more efficient, maybe make it more cost friendly, but also make it more of an experience for the customer, for the end user, or even
Okay.
that's adds a little fun to the design process when you're also thinking about creating an experience.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So innovation is the heart of your business, and that is what you love to do, it seems. What is next in the pipeline for Rock Engineering? Where do you see Rock Engineering in next 5 years?
Another good question. Well, I would say that I love the aspect of working with startups, and we're going to continue that forevermore. But sometimes I don't like when a project is over. And not only does that mean a loss of revenue from that client because hopefully they're satisfied and the project is over, but there's no ongoing relationship there necessarily if they don't if the project is done and they don't need any more of my services. So we're planning here at Roeck Engineering and Supply to pivot a little bit in terms of being able to provide ongoing support, a relationship or a contract that provides a win-win for our clients and ourselves, where we can stay involved and provide our services either how we are now or through different methods, and create an ongoing continuous revenue stream in conjunction with that business in the beginning where we're providing the design or manufacturing solutions. But how do we also stay involved and stay in a helpful position long term? So right now we're working on that, and there's certainly opportunities there with our startup clients. Of course, if the startup doesn't go anywhere, not every business is successful. It could be completely unrelated to the design or manufacturing aspects. It could be related to just the market trends. It could be related to tariffs. It could be related to just where the market is going and it's been is an outdated industry or outdated product. So I do have a variety of corporate clients as well. And obviously they're a little bit more stable. Obtaining some contracts with my corporate clients as well, where I am continue as opposed to a one and done project or a one and done purchase order, providing ongoing support, ongoing orders where we're providing something every other month for X amount of years or X amount of months. So in the next 5 years, those two type of things, continuing relationships with startups after the initial project is over, as well as leveraging our corporate clients in a way where we can also continue to generate more business long term with them.
Right. Yes. So from the business perspective point of view, startups and the corporates could be your major target segments in next 5 years, and definitely that is going to help you to scale up your operations and more provide more innovative solutions.
Yes, for sure.
That's really interesting.
Definitely.
Yeah. So we have young engineers in our audience and we have young founders. What would be your one advice to them as you're into the startup and the early pre-manufacturing or pre-designing phase right now?
I would say always continual learning. Don't be afraid to research as much as possible. It doesn't necessarily need to be through getting the degree or school, but even after you graduate, continue learning and stay up to date with whatever the latest technology is. You know, the engineers and entrepreneurs and small businesses in the 90s that did not embrace the internet are gone now, obviously. And the ones that really did embrace the internet, a lot of them did well. There was an internet bubble, obviously, but many of them did well. And I think that happened with social media. The businesses that are embracing social media started to do well, and the ones that didn't went away. We might be experiencing that now with AI.
Right.
It seems like every 5 to 10 years, there's something new where if you don't adapt from on a personal knowledge level, and if you don't adapt from a business perspective, you might be in trouble. And not all of them are going to work out. You might learn about something that doesn't become a market trend or a big thing in the industry. For example, there's still hope for it, but like NFTs, 5 years ago, NFTs, non fungible tokens, were the big, hot new technology aspects, not only from like the hobbyist and art perspective, but people were saying NFTs were going to be ingrained in every business. That's how we were going to do business. That's how contracts were going to be written with NFTs. And that has happened a little bit, but most
Yeah.
people have no idea how NFTs work. I personally did research them quite a bit, probably unnecessarily because it's not a huge aspect in the market right now. But I was ready if that transition did happen. And AI is the next example, I would say, that, maybe AI is exactly where it is now in 10 years. I'd find that's unlikely. But yeah, long story short, I would say stay up to date as possible with whatever the latest technology is from top to bottom, too, from the big ticket items like NFTs, internet, social media, AI, machine learning, but also
Right.
know how things work on the ground level
Yeah.
too. Know how your computer works, know how an engine
Right.
works, know how your
Right.
car works, know how the Tesla motor works, know
Yeah.
how automation and robotics works in a manufacturing facility. Just
Mhm.
knowing all of that, especially if you're in this type of field, is very
Right.
beneficial for young engineers and young entrepreneurs and on the technical side.
Amazing. Amazing. And how can the prospective customers reach you? Do you have your website? So what are the touch points with your company?
Yeah, so they can just go to engineeringandsupply.com, just
Okay.
www.engineeringandsupply.com. All of my information is there. I post not as much as I should, but I have a list of projects going on there, and all my contact information is on there as well.
Okay. Okay. So that brings us to the end of our podcast, and there were very nice takeaways in this. Two of the takeaways for me personally would be that we have to change with time and still focus on the core aspects of engineering. And by doing these two things, we have to focus on giving a very nice experience to our end users. And that should be the core of your business. That should be why you are in the business. And that should drive your business. So, a really nice insight and really nice wisdom that you have shared with us today. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, Arjun. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, so and that is definitely going to be helpful for all our listeners. We wish
Great.
a great success to Rock Engineering. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good one.